Welcome to IMO Talks Indie. Hi guys, welcome to IMO Talks Indie. My name is Bianca Demore Mitchell, and today we are talking with Roy Lewis Garton. Roy Lewis Garton has played in movies such as The Wrong Lane, has been on a commercial with Credit Karma, and he also earned himself a spot on the popular TV show Burn Notice. I'm really excited to have him here, and here is Roy Lewis Garton. Okay. Hi, and welcome Roy Lewis Garton to IMO Talks Indie. I'm really glad that you could make it. Thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here. Glad to be with you from Tennessee to Florida.
I know it's such a long way, but you are originally from here, correct?
That is correct. After 17 and a half years in the Melbourne, Palm Bay area, where that was my residency, we just moved to Tennessee about a year ago. But although we still have a lot of family and friends in Florida, and we do get back there quite frequently, but Tennessee is kind of our new home now.
Now, you mentioned when I spoke with you the other day, briefly, you mentioned that the film industry is actually quite big in Tennessee now.
It is. There is a lot of good tax incentives here in Tennessee. It's a very friendly state for filming. The competition just continues to grow and grow between Atlanta, and just recently Netflix purchased some huge studios in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area. And New Mexico has always been just super friendly for filming. So, it's a competitive field. And fortunately, the state of Tennessee is aware of that and has stayed on top of it and offers a lot of good tax incentives to keep film production within the state.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's important for a state to realize that, the entertainment industry is going nowhere. And, to promote that is actually beneficial to them, and the more and more they actually get that picture, the better for us as filmmakers, right?
That is true. It's just super sad, and I know a lot of good grassroots organizations are continuously, campaigning and working towards their elected officials there in Tallahassee to get something restored for the film industry in Florida. I hope they do. They have lost millions and millions of dollars, sadly. They may not get it, but they have to competition. And most of it has gone basically to Atlanta and the state of Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Florida used to be the Hollywood of movies, and now it kind of just, I think reputation has something to do with it. But we don't get into that. That's all politics. Nope. Now, you have been doing this for a while. You worked on films such as The Wrong Lane, a Credit Karma commercial. I watched that. It was fantastic. And even the TV show Burn Notice. Tell us about that a little. That's exciting.
Back in 2013, of course, I was a little heavier then. I'm proud to say I've lost about 50 pounds since that time. But when I just got back into acting, when I came back to Florida, and about 7 months after that, I started reestablishing myself. I got some good agents, and it's kind of a fluke. What that was basically a reshoot. They already had the scene done with somebody else, and they had some technical issues, and they needed to reshoot it. And my agent called and said, "You kind of look a lot like this guy that already has done this scene. Are you available?" And I said, "For what?" And they told me about Burn Notice. I said, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." And so I left Palm Bay at about 3:30 in the morning because I had to go outside Fort Lauderdale where they were shooting that scene outside on a gravel road. So I did that. I also got a bit of a pay bump because there was some stunt work involved with the main stars. We were there for 12 hours. Of course, they came in our little air-conditioned trailers. Were there for about 2 hours to do their little thing and left, but we were out there for quite a while. But yeah, it was fun. I didn't have any speaking lines, but I made their trailer for the promotion of that particular episode called The Nature of the Beast. And that was a fun experience. I enjoyed that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because not a lot of people get to say, "Hey, I was on Burn Notice."
Yeah, I work with Jeff and those guys. You get punched in the face, yeah.
That's exciting. exciting to me. You've been doing this for a while, like I said. How long have you been doing this, and what got you started?
I grew up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That's where I got my start, actually, as an extra in a very short-lived but kind of popular TV series on NBC called The Monroes. I'm still friends with one of the actresses to this day that played Amy Monroe.
Aw.
She's a sweet lady. But that's where I got my start. I'm going to age myself, but that was back in 1967, 66.
Wow.
And I was just a kid, obviously. And that was my first role. I got that role as an actor as a kid because my mother actually babysitted Tammy Locke, who played Amy Monroe. And as I said, I'm good friends with her today. She was just a little child then, and she was one of the set babysitters for her. And they needed some extra kids, and I got that. I got the acting bug after that. I continued to get other roles because Jackson Hole's very popular. They used to call it Hollywood's second back lot back then. Another TV series came right after that called Bing Came Bronson with Michael Parks, a guy that ran around on a motorcycle. And I got a role on that one, and then it just kind of mushroomed from that. I kind of got the acting bug.
I was gonna say you got the acting bug, and it just kept growing, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
That's fantastic. Of all the projects that you have done so far, which one were your favorite and why?
Well, obviously, Burn Notice, because it's fairly recent, but probably one of the best and most memorable ones of all my roles. In fact, is the one I got my SAG eligibility was I actually did a great film that was about 50% shot in Jackson Hole about the orangutan monkey, and I did it with Clint Eastwood called Any Which Way You Can.
Wow.
I actually started on that one as an extra, and they kind of liked my look and offered me a what's called atmosphere core speaking line with some other people, and I got one line enough to get my SAG eligibility back in 1979. So that's my most memorable because Clint Eastwood is a fantastic director. He was very good to everybody. He actually sat down with us and had lunch. He was not a prima donna. Very likable guy, and that's probably one of my most memorable ones is Any Which Way You Can with Clint Eastwood.
That's awesome. I'm not sure. Can I look that up somewhere? Is it on YouTube or Netflix somewhere? Amazon?
Oh yeah, all of these shows I've mentioned are all available. Then Came Bronson's kind of hard to find. You can still find The Monroes just came out on DVD, the full 2 seasons of it. Any Which Way You Can's available, and Burn Notice you can download off Amazon.
Right.
Sure,
Yeah.
The Nature of the Beast you can get that. Yes.
Now, I did hear that Clint Eastwood is a fantastic person as far as real life goes. Now, I love the show I Love Lucy, but who doesn't? And I remember the first thing that I noticed, because he was part of that too. He played in a couple of episodes actually, and he was so down to earth, and I thought it was so cool at the time being that he would
Right.
actually come and show up there. So I can imagine that he was a nice guy, being a director and all.
He really was. Probably one of the other greats that I got to work with that was kind of nice. There was another film called The Mountain Men with Charlton Heston and Brian Keith. That was also shot in Jackson Hole. I left Wyoming in 89, 90 and moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I went back into television as a news journalist. But anyway, to make a long story short, that was probably the last films I did was with him. I did Rocky IV. I played a Russian peasant in that, and I'm not going to say what it was like to work with Sylvester Stallone. I'll keep that to myself. Not a good experience.
No, that's always the
But,
disappointing
yeah,
thing that you idolize somebody and then you find out, yeah, well, they're really not nice, or and you're like,
he's one of the few actors that thinks he has to have bodyguards, and he was not approachable at all. But everybody else, Heston, Keith, Eastwood, were all easy to work with. Another film that I did was The Pursuit of D.B. Cooper. That was also a good film. Those actors, Treat Williams, was easy to work with.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, that actually brings me to the next question I had for you. Like I just said, it seems like we idolize celebrities a lot. Do you think that we idolize them too much? Why or why not?
I think the general public, idolizes actors and actresses too much. they're people just like you and I. Um, it's a profession. Acting is a profession, and that's what they do. Very true. Some actors and actresses let it go to their head. A lot of young actors, in fact, get rich too quick, and then a lot of personal problems happen. Um, but overall, if you get to know them and you work on set with them, most of them, I would say 90% are human beings. It's a job just like what you and I may have, and they're easy, approachable. Although I never worked with her, Sandra Bullock has a second home in Jackson Hole. Very approachable. She was out in Teton Village once, and I saw her, and I just approached her and said hello, and she struck up a conversation. Very normal person.
Also one
Um,
of my favorites.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Robert Duvall, another great actor. He was also on The Pursuit of D.B. Cooper. Very approachable, nice guy. Had a scene. That's what my scene was him, and just a great guy. I've never, other than Sylvester Stallone, most everybody I've ever worked with was very approachable, easy to talk to. On breakdowns and sets and stuff, you could chat with them, and they had no issue whatsoever.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, you know, when it comes to celebrities and singers, any kind of artistic individuals that have been made known by media anyway, they
Right.
are definitely idolized and sometimes a little way too drastic, you know.
Right.
And I think that that's because we put them in this little box and we like have these standards for them, like I was talking to Thomas about the other day, and it kind of escalates from there. And media doesn't help with it because they always put it in your face, you know. You always
Oh,
see
they
something.
do. Today, media still glamorizes celebrities like it's like they're in a own little world,
Exactly.
and that's just the nature of Hollywood. That trying to keep that persona that it's a glitzy thing, and it's sad because everybody today, especially a lot of young people, think acting and becoming an actor and actress is their step to fame in Hollywood. And even though I've done it for 50 years, and true, I'm not a big A-list celebrity, never claimed to be, never will be, but I've always took acting as a fun thing, an enjoyable thing. I never got rich at it. In fact, most people have to have a second job. There's very few that have gone into making acting as their main source of income. And then they want that big dream of going to Hollywood and find out they fall flat on their face in failure. I encourage everybody, if you love acting, to pursue it, but keep that second job and remember that it's a very competitive, high stakes job. And now, where I'm at my age, I pick and choose my roles. I'd rather be behind the camera today than in front of. But not to say that I don't like acting, I still do. But be very careful with it and don't jump into it and thinking that you're going to become an instant celebrity. There's some great talent in Florida. A good friend of mine, Jax, he's a young boy. I know his mother very well, Jackson Keach. He is doing extremely well. Young guy that's there in Florida, and he is on his way. He is booking now some very top level entertainment jobs on the ABC television network and feature films. He's doing extremely well. He's very good, and he's still a very nice young man, and I think he always will be. And I know his mother very well. They just recently moved to Atlanta to further his career, and he's now in Los Angeles doing some great things. So we have some wonderful talent that's coming out of Florida, making the big time.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent out there. When we first started it a few years back, the one thing that I did not like you mentioned, you know, especially in the young ones, they're looking for that instant gratification, and it's just not possible when you're in the entertainment industry. Like you said, for those that get to be the overnight wonders, so to speak, they usually end up, you know, not making it so well because it does have it does take a toll on your personality and your lifestyle. And I think too that as a parent, and the issues that I had with some of the actors and actresses, the younger ones, usually always the parents because they seem to vicariously live through their children, and then they push them to do things that they really shouldn't be doing or is really not in their best interest. And then you have, you know, growing divas.
I agree. I will leave these people's names nameless, but there's a couple young ladies. Her mother, is very prominent there in the Florida area, her daughters want to become actresses, but they have maintained their faith and their personal well-being. They have been offered roles to where it was not in their best interest, and they rejected every one of them. And they're still struggling to get into acting and act, but they said we're not going to give up our self and well-being to take roles. If we don't get it, we don't get it. And I God bless them for their mother and those two young ladies. They're still in Hollywood, and they're still trying to work their way up to getting those roles that they want. But at the same time, they're maintaining their integrity, and that's what you got to do.
I absolutely agree. I think it's harder to do so, but like you said, it's definitely admirable. Now, you being a veteran in the industry, talking to somebody who's coming up to you and says, "Hey, Roy, I want to be an actor. I want to be director, producer, makeup artist in the industry." What do you have to say for them to encourage them to actually move forward with it?
The first thing, if you're serious about it, get an acting coach, take acting classes. I did. I don't anymore, but you got to have acting classes. You've got to be able to accept a lot of roles in small independent films, probably without pay, so you can get a reel put together. And then from there, you've got to have at least one agent, perhaps a couple. In the state of Florida, being a right-to-work state, and there are some SAG-AFTRA agencies, a good one in Jacksonville and a few other places. But having said that, you've got to earn your stripes. So that means learning to act, become an actor and actress, going to classes at least for a couple years and then ongoing after that. Number two, you've got to be able to go to auditions, a lot of them at a moment's notice. That's one reason I kind of backed out of acting, is where I'm at my age and myself. I don't like driving 200 miles or 100 miles for a 15-second audition, because 95% of the time, I'm going to be honest with you, you're not going to get it. So same there living in Palm Bay, Melbourne. Everybody's got to drive to Orlando. So you got to have a job that's flexible, that you can leave that job and do that. And don't expect your boss is going to be letting you off to run to an audition. I encourage you, again, you may have to live in Orlando, move to Orlando, so you're closer to your agents, because auditions come up very quickly, and they're going to expect you to be there, or your agent's going to drop you. If you start saying, I can't make it, I can't make it. So those are just some of the things. Take classes, be available, be prepared to accept a lot of roles without pay, so you can build a reel. Your agent's going to want you to have a demo reel, and that means having some scenes that you've done and kept. And that's going to mean either accepting jobs with no pay or very low pay. And then after that, the good paying jobs will come along. Now, concluding about the unions, Florida's a right to work state, so is the state of Tennessee. A lot of people say, well, what do I got to do to get my SAG-AFTRA card? Well, I waited 25 years before. I just got mine a couple months ago. I waited because, number one, it is expensive, and number two, does it open a lot of doors for you? That depends on whether or not you want to work on union sets or not. So, I'm going to leave that to the individual. I'm not saying I'm pro-union or anti-union, but you've got to just kind of keep the door open about joining a union or not, because if you do, that kind of might shut you out a little bit at working on independent films. Same token, that also can open up to increase your pocketbook, because if you get on union shoots, they do pay a lot more, and the benefits are a lot more on set than working on a non-union shoot. But like I said, I became eligible back in 1979 on an Eastwood shoot, and I waited all that time until just a couple months ago to join SAG-AFTRA, and because it is kind of pricey, and then you got your yearly dues. But it was my bucket list thing, so I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you have to say about IMDb? Do you suggest everybody who gets started in the industry to go ahead and earn their spot on IMDb, or do you think it's actually not so necessary?
I'll be honest with you. A lot of folks do look at IMDb to see what they're doing, to see if they are a quote-unquote legitimate actor or actress. It does cost you if you want to keep your profile headshot on there. You expect to pay $23 a month. It's just like anything else. Going to acting classes, $400 or $500. IMDb, $23 a month. Being on sites like actors.com or whatever, I'm just naming a few out there, there's monthly fees for that. Mm-hmm. Getting your headshots, a couple $100. If you're going to get into this business, you got to be serious about it. Now, even with my site, I will, pay the pro version and then I'll let it expire and then I'll put it back up. It just depends on what I got going on.
Yeah.
So you can go on IMDb and occasionally, depending on what you've got coming up, project. You can. First, yes, I say get on the site. Now, whether you want to pay the monthly fee or not, that's up to you. It either allows your picture to be shown or not. You're still not going to disappear. So get on it and then make the decision whether you want to keep your profile active with your headshot or not, because it's not that big a deal. It's okay to let it expire, and then if you think you've got a big project coming up that people need to see you, reactivate your site so your headshot shows up and then let it go. So regardless, yes, get on IMDb. A lot of producing directors from Los Angeles to Atlanta, they do look at it. It is considered a good place to show your resume and what you do, and it makes you more legitimate.
Yeah, I have to agree. And like you said, I think, when somebody gets into this business, they should see that it's their business and they should treat it as such. Its investment is required. So I really thank you for your time. If there's anything you would like to let the audience know that you have to say, any kind of opinions, suggestions, and a message that you have to say, go ahead and let them know.
I just want to say it's been a pleasure to speak with you. I will give myself my selfless plug. What is Roy working on? I'm working on the Crime Squad, the movie. It's a salute to Leslie Nielsen. It's a comedy. I started it there in Florida. I do have one Florida actress that's in it. I'm keeping her name a secret until the film comes out. She shot her part in Florida with a different crew, and I'm using it up here in Tennessee. It's a great film. I had a Nashville crew on it, so I'm looking forward to it coming out. And my other film, the last film that I did, is still doing well there in Florida. So a lot of people are still looking at that, called The Wrong Lane. Still going to festivals, and it's done so well now. People actually want my film in there. I don't even have to pay for it. I still have people at festivals. I've heard about it. Can we run it? And I said, I'll let them do it, obviously. So. That was done with Brevard Film and Talent. I thank them so much for all of their time and effort in it. I'm past president of that organization, and Sandy's doing a great job. It's still going strong.
Yes, she does. I love her. She's a fantastic female. I really like her. And I watched the movie and I was like, oh my gosh, this was actually really awesome. So you sent it to me. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. You did a fantastic job, and so did Brevard Film and Talent. Like I said, thank you so much for being here. I hope one day we'll get to do something together that would be fantastic. Other than that, thank you so much.
I hope we can too. And with your husband there being from Tennessee, who knows? Sometimes bridges come together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.